What is a traditional Japanese kimono? The traditional Japanese kimono started out as the most inclusive garment of all time. It was a garment that was easy to wear and infinitely adaptable. Its adaptability was first seen in the design of the kosode, the kimono's predecessor, which was worn by men and women as an outer garment. The kosode influenced the various pieces of the kimono, but differed quite a bit in proportion. The kosode featured a wider body, longer collar, and narrower sleeves. Instead of the T-shaped design that created the signature kimono sleeve, the kosode sleeves were sewn to the body of the garment with rounded edges. The kosode was worn in Japan as common everyday dress through the Edo period, at which point its proportions had evolved to be closer to the modern-day kimono. At this point, the term kimono came more widely into use in naming the garment. The word kimono, literally meaning the thing worn, came into use, and the kosode and the kimono became synonymous with Japan to the rest of the world. The style, motif, texture, material, color, and production technique of the modern kimono would all indicate social position within Japanese society. It would tell a story and place your heritage at the center of your garment. According to JSTOR Daily, each individual kimono became the biodata of its wearer. Influences on the traditional kimono. Even as the kimono is the traditional garment of Japan, it has also been influenced by other cultural traditions in the region. As the kosode transformed into the kimono in Japan, Chinese cultural influences wove their common dress. The hanbok relies on simple lines and can sometimes come in two pieces, a top and a bottom. But the hanbok itself was meant to be able to move in, with a wide cut in the bottom piece for maximum ease of movement. While featuring a slimmer silhouette, the kimono also used elegant, simple lines in its design. The history of the modern bathrobe. While you may be more familiar with the rich history of the kimono, you may be less familiar with the history of the modern bathrobe. In the 1800s, modern bathrobes came into fashion to provide warmth after bathing as an alternative to a towel. While the earliest bathrobes were floor-length, heavy, and even hooded to provide warmth, the bathrobe evolved over time to more of a dressing gown with a sleeker silhouette and a more lightweight material. Silk luxury dressing gowns as we now know them can trace their origins to 5,000 years ago in China. This is where silk was first produced and considered a luxury material for wealthy and prominent citizens. During the Edo period in Japan, silk dressing gowns were worn by Japanese samurai warriors as a symbol of their rank. Then, as time went on, the traditional Japanese kimono used mulberry silk, was adopted by women as well, and became a fashionable look around the world. Later in the 17th and 18th centuries, the silk luxury robe was a dressing gown popular among the wealthy aristocrats and worn outside as formal attire. Just 100 years later, in the 19th century, these dressing gowns became silk luxury robes people wore at home. Luxury silk robes have beautiful benefits as compared to cotton robes. While you may feel like a 20th century glamorous movie starlet in your luxury silk robe, there is so much more to it. Cotton robes tend to absorb water and are heavier pieces, but silk bathrobes are lightweight against your skin with a fluid liquid drape. Cotton robes can be heavy and retain heat in the summer, but silk robes are breathable and lovely to wear inside or outside during the summer months. And now, with the advent of washable silk, silk robes are even easier to care for and clean at home. The intention behind every kimono robe. Our modern kimono robes are a culmination of all of these compounding influences over time. Our founders, Renee and Tiffany Tam, have looked to their own childhood experiences with traditional Japanese kimono, as well as inspiration from vintage Asian art, to create modern kimono robes connected to heritage while keeping the modern woman in mind. Our unique designs rely on a modern aesthetic with a gentle touch, allowing for a deep breath each time you slip techniques that have been passed down through the centuries. Your modern kimono robe is an everyday ritual connected to the influences of the past. In every iteration, these traditional garments have been a point of self-expression for the wearer, and our modern kimono robes are just the same. We hope every time you slip into your favorite kimono robe, you feel connected to the history and heritage that inspired these pieces and connected to your own beautiful self-expression.